Later today, the Senate's set to do some bipartisan legislating. Back in 1984, Congress passed the Victims of Crime Act, which includes an important federal program called the Crime Victims Fund. When criminals who commit federal crimes are charged fines and penalties, some of that money flows into this fund. It goes to state-level programs that help crime victims with services like counseling and emergency shelters. It also helps compensate victims directly with their expenses like medical costs, mental health, funeral expenses, and lost wages. Some of the money also goes specifically to fight child abuse. The fund needs to rest on a firm financial footing, but right now it doesn't have that firm footing. Its balance has been shrinking fast. Congress needs to act to prevent big cuts to victim services, particularly in rural areas. A number of senators on both sides have come together and produced bipartisan reforms that will strengthen the program and keep assistance flowing to the survivors of federal crimes. The junior senator from Pennsylvania has a further amendment to make sure the program can't be used as part of budgetary shell games that deliberately cloud federal accounting. I'll support both Senator Toomey's amendment and our colleagues' legislation later today. But on this subject, for goodness sakes, elected officials should not just be racing to replenish the Crime Victims Fund before it runs out. Leaders at the local, state, and federal level should be acting to confront the surge in violent crime that's plaguing our nation. For about a year now, the political left has grown obsessed with the notion that police officers are inherently bad, policing is inherently evil, and what vulnerable neighborhoods really need is less enforcement of the laws. As one House member has informed us, quote, defunding police means defunding police. Another put it this way, defunding the police isn't radical, it's real. Well, academic research has confirmed something troubling. The broad anti-police backlash that sometimes follows high-profile police-involved incidences subsequently leads, now listen to this, to less safety, more crime, and more murders. Sure enough, murders have shot up in cities and communities all across our country. My hometown of Louisville has seen 66% more homicides than we had seen by this time last year, 66% more. Last year was a record year for carjackings, and yet Louisville is on a pace to match it once again. And the city's police department is short more than 200 sworn officers due to low recruitment, low morale, and resignations. Leaders should be working to contain the damage, but instead of delivering a sober, responsible message, many of the most prominent Democratic politicians instead grab their megaphones and amplify the anti-police sentiment as loud as possible. As I've noted before, attacking and insulting the police is not just a bad strategy for public safety across the board. The data show it is an especially destructive approach to advancing racial justice. The truth is this: larger police forces save lives, and the lives saved are disproportionately Black lives. That's another expert study. So I'm glad the Senate will take the important step today of reforming and strengthening the Crime Victims Fund. It certainly belies any notion that we can't legislate in a bipartisan way. We absolutely can, and we do. When a bipartisan outcome is what the Democratic majority truly wants and actually makes it possible. But I wish anti-crime, pro-police, pro-public safety attitudes and policies could be just as bipartisan at the state, local, and federal levels as today's vote will likely be. Standing up for law enforcement and the innocent people they protect should never be limited to one side of the aisle.